I'm excited that you're here because a couple of films that you've done, I'd love to, go down that memory lane with you. Blackhawk Down. What preparation did you do for that film?
Was quite a lot. I mean, look, that's the best part of my job is I didn't go to university. I finished high school and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so for me, the movie business has been amazing because every time I get an amazing role, I get to throw myself into the shoes of somebody else and do a bunch of research. And that was really jumping off the deep end. And myself and a few of the other guys got to go and train with some special forces guys at Fort Bragg, which was amazing. Most of the cast did ranger training and the others, we went off and did some special forces stuff. And then we worked with those guys all the way through the production. So we just never stopped learning all the way through the physical production in Rabat, Morocco. It was one of the most overwhelming, visceral filming experiences possible. And it's kind of ingrained in me to this day, that experience. It really, really kind of changed my life in some ways.
How so?
I don't know. It was just, I think I love going into the head of my characters, and I think spending so much time in the mindset of a Delta Force operator just kind of like did something fundamental to the way that I approach things. And I've had that with a bunch of other characters as well. Like they kind of live in your brain and express themselves in different ways. But there was something about the rigor and the discipline of what's involved in that job that just really, really appealed to me.
So you did some training for it, essentially?
Yeah, we did some. I mean, obviously, we try and do as convincing job as we can. But I was just in absolute awe of them. They were just the most incredible people to work with.
Yeah, so you went to Fort Bragg.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in Morocco is where you guys shot it.
Yeah, we shot in Morocco and we had U.S. military working with us the whole way through that film.
How old were you when you did that, huh? I mean, it was at the beginning of your career, correct?
It was my first American film. I'm trying to remember. My son was, I think, 18 months old in the hotel room, and he's now 24. So it was 22 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, right.
It's an incredible cast when you go through the IMDb on that film. It's just like the most incredible roll call of actors.
Yeah, and I do remember it just being when you said visceral, it certainly was a visceral watching experience in the theater.
Yeah, it was like that to make it as well, definitely.
So how did you get into acting? How did that happen?
By accident. I was a stand-up in Australia. That's how I got into the business.
Comedy.
Yeah.
That's right.
I went stand-up, sketch comedy. And then when I was doing sketch comedy, there were a lot of straight actors who were on our show. It was a show similar to Saturday Night Live. And I got to watch them work, and I'm like, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between doing sketch comedy and drama. I think they're having us on. I think there's some kind of a ruse going on here.
Yeah.
These actors are getting really well paid, and us comedians are kind of not really getting our just rewards.
Right.
So I started throwing my hat in the drama ring, and then I got lucky early with a couple of roles, and then I just didn't look back. I was like, I'm gonna go for it.
Well, I know folks from Australia know you as originally a sketch comic, but I think a lot of fans here in the United States were like, really? So
haven't got a clue.
You had a Saturday Night Live type experience, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I was on a show very similar to Saturday Night Live called Full Frontal for about 4 or 5 years, then had my own show for a couple of years. And then started out in stand-up and did stand-up all the way through the sketch comedy career and was still doing stand-up when I started acting, actually, for quite a while. And then eventually I was like, I just got lazy. I'm like, I'm going to go this way now, where they write material for me and I just get to go and say their lines.
It's definitely, for the lack of a better phrase, easier. My goodness gracious. Yeah, I did stand-up in college for 4 years, Eric, and it was toughest thing I've ever had to do. Nothing comes close.
Yeah.
Eric Bana here on the Rich Eisen Show. How'd you wind up on Spielberg's radar screen for Munich? How did that happen?
I don't know how I ended up on his radar.
Okay.
But I got invited to go and meet with Steven about a secret project. No one knew what it was about. No one knew what he was developing.
It was secret.
It was secret.
Okay.
And I sat down and we started talking, and he started talking about Munich in 1977, and just by complete coincidence, I had read the book Vengeance, on which the story was based.
No way.
Like, talk about a three-pointer.
Right.
Like, seriously. And so I was like, yeah, I know this story. I know the background. I remember it as a kid. I remember some of the footage, and
yes.
And then at the end of that conversation, he said, yeah, so I really want you to play the role of Avner. And I was like, what planet am I on here? What's going on? Like,
Right.
is this conversation really occurring?
Yeah.
Did he just say what I thought he said? So that's how that went. And next thing I knew, I was in Malta and bombs were going off and we were on.
You were in it. What is it like being directed by Steven Spielberg?
It was just the best. It was, I love my sport, and I think both Blackhawk Down and Munich are the two films that most made me feel like I was part of a sporting team, because the camera is never still in that film, and the relationship that he has with Janusz Kaminski, the cinematographer, which is unbelievable. And we shot on film back in those days. The focus pull is right by the camera, watching your every move, and it's very dynamic, and there's a million moves going on, and every take felt like live theater. It felt like something dangerous was happening. It felt like everyone had to be completely on it for it to work.
Yes.
So it was the most kind of dynamic, exciting, dangerous kind of film to make from a filmmaking perspective in that sense.
I imagine him giving a note, like you could hear a pin drop, I imagine, right? Or,
Yeah.
is it just a different feeling on a set with somebody like him? I
He
don't
was
know.
very relaxed. He was so easy to work with. And I was just pinching myself every day. It was one of the most incredible experiences to work on that film.
And what an important story to get right, too.
No pressure.
None at all.
No pressure. I felt no pressure at all, Rich.
But at least you read the source material, which is pretty cool, you going into it. And so where in terms of rabid fans, where do Trekkies rank for you, Eric?
Trekkies. I'm not sure if they've still figured out whether it's actually me in that film.
They don't know, huh? So you can just walk into any old, Comic-Con or anything like that, and they have no idea that you're that guy from Star Trek. My goodness.
It was quite the makeup job. It was worth 3 or 4 hours.
That's how long it was?
Yeah. It was so much fun. It was such a great film to work on.
Did you grow up watching Star Trek or no?
Yeah,
no,
the TV show.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
That's my Star Trek. I think we're the same age. I'm 54.
I'm 55.
Okay, there you got me. It's okay. But you look younger than me, and you got great hair. But yeah, I mean, that was I grew up watching all the Star Treks on TV.
So it was incredible. But yeah, I'm not sure that every Trekkie when they meet me is like made that link. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't.
That's pretty cool. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.